First off, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
So, hopefully everybody's having a good one. I have. Just sat back and got to thinking, and I really am. I really am blessed. I'm surrounded by a great group of people. But I was thinking about my father for this Father's Day, and just the different quirks. I've heard my kids talk to him, and stuff about vehicles and things. And he's like, "Well, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know anything about that." And it was just kind of funny because everything I know about vehicles, mechanicking, I learned from him. I remember growing up, and starter goes out on a vehicle. Well, you don't take that to a shop. You fix it yourself. Water pump goes out, you fix it yourself. And so, growing up, I kind of, just learned that that's just what you do. I get my own vehicle, I have something go wrong on it. The thought of, bringing it to a shop never even crossed my mind because of what I seen my dad do. I'd always see him tackle and try to fix everything that he could. And so that's how I was, and probably how most of my boys will be. Connor just totaled out a vehicle, and it may not be perfect, but it never crossed our mind twice. It was like, hey, pull it in the shop, we'll work on it, and eventually get running. But these are things that I just picked up on from my dad, and he probably does not even realize that that's why I'm mechanically inclined, is because of what I've seen him do, why I watched him. You hear the phrase, chip off the old block. Who's heard that? Let's get some motion out there. Everybody sit still. All right. Chip off the old block. We all heard that. But the thing about it is that chip is 100% identical to the block. It's different size, but it is the exact same chemical makeup. It's the exact same color. It is identical to what it came from. And all this ties in because I was thinking about this generation and the generation right after it and really before it. I've heard it called, and you've heard it called, the fatherless generation. Who's heard that? Couple. They call it the fatherless generation because there's so many households without the biological father in the home. There are so many kids growing up without the presence of their father in the home. And so I looked up all these statistics with all these numbers and stuff, and I decided against using them because I don't want you to get caught up on the numbers. But when you start studying the life and how a child grows, and you start studying the presence of the father and how that affects them, it is sad and it is shocking to see that. A few statistics I remember that I'll still use, but 90% of all runaway homeless children right now, and this comes from the Bureau of Statistics, 90% of them come from a fatherless home. When you start looking, the vast majority of kids that are on drugs right now are coming out of a fatherless home. Teenage pregnancies, the vast majority of them come from a fatherless home. And so we use this term, a fatherless generation, but it's not true because everybody has a father. I know we have these little memes and things that we like, that anybody can be a father, but it takes a real man to be a dad. But everybody has a father. So to say you're a fatherless generation is not true. You have a father, you may not like him, he may not be a good person, but you have one. And when you look at what happens to the family when you have the presence of a father there, when you have the presence of a father figure in the family, it makes such a huge difference on the life of the people in the family. when you look at the children are so much more likely to be successful in life. They are so much more likely to be happy and joyful. They're so much more likely to fit in and find their place in society. When you have the presence of a father in a home, and all these is coming off the Bureau of Statistics, and it says that there's such an impact. Stop, that was contagious. There's such an impact of how it affects the children that you don't even realize. Just like my dad right now would tell you, he's not a mechanic, he knows nothing about vehicles yet. I feel I'm very mechanically minded because of watching him, and he doesn't even realize that. He has, and you could laugh, I'm mechanically minded more than some. But he doesn't even realize that he had that much of an impact. And fathers, mothers too, but this is Father's Day, so get over it. Fathers have such a huge impact on your kids just by your daily walking out, just by your day-to-day activities, just by how you live your life. Because when you say something's a chip off an old block, they are watching and they're going to become just like you. Same color, same chemical makeup, same style, good, bad, for the most part, in general. That's the direction that they're going to go. And everybody has probably heard this, and everybody, knows that families are much more successful and kids are much more productive in society with a family. I doubt that this is a shock to anybody. But I have to lay the groundwork before I go where I want to go, because that is easy for people to understand. It's easy for you to comprehend, yeah, you know what, kids are going to turn out better if they got two parents. Yeah, kids are going to turn out better if the presence of the father is in the home. Because I know a lot of people who have father, and the father's active in their life, but he's not present in the home. And everything on these statistics is based on the father being present in the home. You could be the greatest father in the world, but it's the presence of day-to-day activity that makes a difference in that kid's life. That's what changes the life, is the presence of the father. And it's real easy to look at the physical and go, yeah, I agree with that, or yeah, I understand that. But the physical and the spiritual always run hand in hand. And we call ourselves children of God, do we not? We're all children of God?
Yes.
See? Yes? Okay. Do we have the presence of the Father in our home? Yes, we may have the Father. We may have, I'm a Christian, I have the Father. But do we have His presence in our home? Because the chances of you being more productive in society with the presence of the Father in your home go way up. The chances of you living a more happy, productive life. They were talking, it's like a 400% decrease in depression and anxiety when the father is in the home. This goes hand in hand. Is the presence of the Father in your home? Because everything that we see in the physical is the same in the spiritual. So if I were to ask a question, if I were to ask, how many people have the presence of the Father? You believe you have the presence of the Father in your home? I believe everybody here would probably raise their hand. But here's my question. How do you know, and what did you do to get the presence of the Father in your home? Has anybody here ever literally asked and says, Father, I want you to come reside here in my home. I want your presence here. I want to feel you day and night. I mean, that's what we would do if we were wanting the physical father to come. Hey, I need you to come move back into the house. I want you to be part of us. I want you to be part of this family. Have we done that with our Heavenly Father? Have we said, hey, you know what? I love you. I'm following you. I'm believing you. Come into my home. I want you to be part of our home. I want to feel your presence. I want to feel your joy, your love. No, I was trying to stop laughing because, I made eye contact with Joey right when he was starting to take a drink, and it was like deer in the headlights, like, oh God, don't ask me a question.
Since you said my name, you said something. How you're saying that it's not the same as having, being a good dad and not being at home. I can attest to that because, used to all work away. And yeah, I came home, but I was gone a lot more than I was at home. And I remember being gone, when I'd be on the phone with Ashley and I'd talk to Christian and, Christian's acting out or, doing whatever, and he just don't want to listen to Mom. And he's still kind of like that, but for the most part, when I was home, he wasn't. He was a lot more well behaved. I'm not gonna say a better kid, but he listened a lot more, and I'd say he enjoyed being around a lot more at that point in time because Mom and Daddy's there. So I see what you're saying with it. Like I said, I wasn't technically gone, but I wasn't technically home either. So, and now that I'm home all the time, now Dallas, she's coming of age, so it's a little different with her, but I just agree with you.
Yep, it makes a difference. And you see, Joey didn't change. Joey was the same person. The difference is the presence of Joey. God is still a good father. But are we walking in his presence? Is his presence in our home? And it's kind of one of those Sunday school questions, Sunday school answers that I don't like. How do you get the presence of God in your home? Because I would think that we all want the presence of God in our home. We all want the benefits of having the presence of God in our home. So how do you go about doing that?
I would say spending time with him and reading his word and just praying and talking to him.
Absolutely.
Like I said a while ago, I asked. Nobody's going to come over. Well, some people will, but for the most part, no one's going to come over without being invited. So.
Yeah. We done something called that we called the 30 Days of Prayer, where we just got together and we prayed for 30 days. And we had people come into this building that we were in that was about half the size of this room. And they would walk in, and it would just be, they would come there for their lunch break and eat lunch. And it's like, why are you coming in? And they would say, just because of the peace that is here. Because of the peace that you feel when you walk in the door. That's the presence of God that was there. We had the same thing as GoChurch when we done Christmas last year. And we were handing out Christmas gifts to a lot more than we had set out to. But it was awesome because we had young mothers that would walk in, and one young mother walked in and she was like, I have goosebumps, and I don't understand why. And and Kim was like, I do, Holy Spirit. It's the peace that the Heavenly Father brings with him. Jesus was known as the Prince of Peace. And it is so easy to get busy with our day-to-day lives that we never stop and think, do we have the presence of God in our home? Or are we just taking him for granted? So that's kind of where I'm ending up with on Father's Day, is just like our presence makes such a huge difference in our kids. The presence of our Father makes a huge difference not only in our kids, but also in us.
So along the theme of the mechanics, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I put a blurb on Facebook. Rarely do I do anything on Facebook, but I don't know, I'm sure Aaron saw it. But I wrote on there that I've been working on cars for 50 years plus. And once, when I was 13, I dropped a socket and it rolled out from under the car. My father was there, and he rested in peace. And he looked at that socket glimmering on the floor in the incandescent light, and he said, that'll never happen again. To me, the moral of that story is whenever you drop something when you work on a car, it goes dead center under the car. So you got to bend down, reach underneath there, and drag it out, whatever it is you drop. That was my little. The irony is that all my cousins and my nephews and nieces that saw that post all commented on Otto, my father. You know, what type of man he was, and that's how I learned mechanics, is I had no choice.
Yeah.
My father taught me mechanics. So it's just a nudge.
There we go. You know, even Jesus, when he walked this earth, he said that he didn't do anything that he didn't see the Father do. He didn't say anything that he didn't hear the Father say. In essence, Jesus was a chip off the old block. You know. And that's the goal, that's the destiny that we should be living for. So let me ask anybody else. What do you think, Lynn? How do we get the presence of God into our home?
You gotta want him there.
Okay. You do. You do. He's not going to come where he's not wanted. What do you think, Miss Naomi?
Well, you have to want him there, but you also have to ask him to be there. And enjoy his presence and talk with him and walk with him and be with him so he'll stay. Love him.
What do you think you do?
I mean, I think you and Miss Naomi have hit it on the head. You have to invite him there. Like Joey said, there's only a few people who are going to come without being invited. You might not like those people too much, but I mean,
Well, I can tell you that God, our Father, I agree, he's only going to show up if he's wanted. He's only going to show up if he's invited. But I can tell you the opposite of our Father, he will show up all the time uninvited. And that's why it's so important. As a father, as a man, we are head of the household. And I'm going to get laughed at here again. Trust me when I say this, I have had a little bit of training. Not much, but in martial arts. Yep, there it goes. There's two things that they talk about, and one is where the head goes, the body follows. There are several other pressure points that where they go, the body follows. But where the head goes, the body follows. As a father, as a head of the house, it's even biblical. As you go, so the family will follow. You know, and it is our responsibility, but it is also our privilege to get to lead our family in the direction of God. It is our privilege to get to introduce our family to the presence of God. You know how many times have the kids busted in the door on you while you were praying, while you were studying your Bible? They'll bust in on us before doing other things. How many times have we had them bust in on us in the presence of God? You know. So. What are you thinking, Aaron? Nope.
Back to your other statement, I mean, you're going to come unless you have a written prayer for him to stay. That's good too.
So, my challenge this week would be when you go home to actually invite him in. I would do it as a family on Father's Day. What better day? And it doesn't have to be this super spiritual thing. I do it all the time. I'm like, okay, guys, we'll need you in here on this situation. You know, or thank you for this. You're welcome. It's yours. You know, I'm constantly reminding him that everything I own, I do not own. It's his that he's given me, and I promise to take as good a care of it as I can. But it's his, and I'll do with it as he wishes. You know, to inhabit it. And no, he has not told me to give you anything yet. So, but that's my challenge for this week when you go home. Invite the presence of God into your home. Invite him into your family. So, any questions? Any concerns?
No, but I had something I wanted to say. You know, I do the flea market and I have all these boxes and I'm constantly moving them around from the house to my car and everything. So I had a girl give me a desk and I moved an old desk out and I got a bunch of boxes out of my car to put inside on top of this desk. And I have no idea where this box came from or who wrote it, but I'd never seen it before. It was just a flea market box full of flea market junk and I picked it up off the floor and I put it up on the very top. And on that side, somebody had wrote in big, huge letters with a black magic marker, Jesus loves you. And I said, that's perfect. I really needed that right now. So I left it. It's right when you
Right
walk
there
in the
where you can
room,
see it.
that's the first thing you see, that big old box that says, Jesus loves you. I said, yeah, I need that. That's it.
See, that kind of goes along because the person that wrote that probably has no idea the impact that they had on your
It probably
life.
came from the food bank at some point, but I don't remember. I've never seen it. Don't remember seeing it until I picked it up and put it right on top. That was so funny.
That's awesome.
I just thought it was cool.
So I didn't start off because I forgot, but does anybody have a nudge from this week? Kind of a halfway.
I had a lot of nudges. I had a nudge like every single day this week. They all turned out pretty good too. One time I was driving and I saw John walking. He was carrying some stuff. He had went for a job interview, he said. And I pulled up into the AT&T place right there by Aunt Jimmy's to pick him up, and all the AT&T guys were out there. And it was just me when he got in the car. And so they were looking at me like I was insane. And they followed me all the way here.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they followed me all the way here, and then I prayed with him before he got out, and asked him if there was anything he needed and stuff, and we just kind of talked about how life's going pretty good for him right now. He's just gonna get a new car and stuff like that.
I think they did. I've been seeing a red van over there a lot.
Yeah.
So I think they got that.
And then Hayden, I think it was Friday or yesterday. Yesterday. I was driving doing errands or whatever, and Miss Robin, Mr. Tommy, their daughter is really sick, and I feel like they could use a little pick me up, and I always see on Facebook where they go get those fruit cups from the fruit stand. So I went and got them. I didn't know what kind, so I just got like 3 different ones and took over there to them. And Miss Robin was always sincere. She was like, "Thank you so much." Nobody ever really just takes the time out to do that anymore, and so anyway.
Cool. Awesome. So does anybody need prayer this morning? Well, if y'all don't mind, I would like to pray for Peyton. The family that has started coming. Their daughter just needs Jesus to touch her this week. And Brittany, if you want to stand in for her. I would like to pray that God would touch them this week. So.
What is this? I don't think I'm ready.
We have a family, they've been here twice. They usually sit back over here in the back row. You weren't here last week, were you?
I was here the first day.
Yeah. They were here. They sat about third row here. There was about 5 or 6 of them.
They They sat right behind me and Matt.
And the young girl that was there is feeling under the weather. So just want to pray for her, because that's what we're here for. To be a family and lift each other up. And if our kid was sick, we'd want somebody praying for them. So. Y'all want to join me? Do you know Peyton? You start us off. You don't How about you start us off by just saying,
I don't know.
God, make Peyton feel better.
God, make Peyton feel better.
That's a simple prayer. And it's a heartfelt prayer that God will answer. So, Father, that's what I ask. I just ask that you would make Peyton feel better. Father, that your presence would go into that home right now. And where the king is the kingdom. So while you're there, that's the kingdom. And there's no sickness in the kingdom. There's peace and joy and health and happiness. And that's what we declare right now in the life of faith. We declare peace, joy, purpose, health, and happiness. And we ask this in Jesus' name. And your word says where 2 or 3 are gathered together, that there you are in the midst of us. So you are here. You said that whatever we ask, whatever we bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever we loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. So right now, we just bind sickness and disease in Peyton's life. And we just declare right now, in the name of Jesus, that her body would come back into alignment with the kingdom of God. That any pain would leave, and any sickness would leave, and that she would be made well. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.